Welcome to the Super Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the new Super Gamer Podcast, episode 193. And hey, wouldn't you know it, it is the 4-year anniversary episode. And this actually gets to be a special episode because it is an episode from Peg Jam, the Winnipeg Game Jam, that I actually participated in. And just happened this past weekend, I made a game. I mean, kind of. People are being very nice. They're saying, you made a game, you know, I mean, I made the bones of a game, I guess. But it's a physical game, like a charade-style game with index cards. The theme for the Game Jam was bees, or actually it was the bees. You know, like, not the bees, that thing. So I made a game about bees dancing to communicate to each other where the flowers are and how to get to them. The long and short of it is, it's teams. You get a card with directions on it, like east, west, north, south, and you need to dance these directions to your teammates. They need to guess. If you get it right, you get a point. If you get it wrong, you don't get a point. There's extra rules in there, but that's the bones of it. It was really fun to do, really fun to present, and people were very nice about it. So thank you all for putting on the Game Jam, for letting me be a part of it, and for being nice to me. I'll talk a little bit about the other presenters. All the games were awesome. They really were. I will point out, I think, the most addicting game, looked to be Believe I Can Fly, which was an endless sort of jumping on bee. You're an ant and you jump on bees, and there's exploding bees. You try and get the highest score, and I really think I could pour a lot of time into that. That was cool. There was a horror narrative game called Beekeeper. Super creepy, and I'm really intrigued to know more about that one, and would play more of that. It was unsettling in a okay, I want to see what's going on here kind of way. The art was quite unsettling. And as far as best art, actually, I think I'm going to give that to the game Hive. That was done by someone who described themselves as a comic artist, and it looked awesome. And the point of that game was to find the fly hiding in your beehive. Kind of like a Where's Waldo kind of deal, because the flies and the bees don't look all that different. That looked very cool. They were all cool. But those are the three I'm going to point out that really stood out to me. And now we have a couple interviews that I got from people at the event. Thank you for being here. 4 years in. I normally don't say this on episodes. I'm normally not talking directly to you like this. Hey, you can subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts. I don't know how long that's still a thing. And you can find us at supergamerpodcast.com. Subscribe, like, tell your friends, give feedback, let me know you're there. Thank you for being here, and without further ado, on with the show. All right, I'm with Sarah Tam, Senior Producer, Live Ops Specialist at Relic. You were one of the guest speakers here at Winnipeg Game Jam on Thursday. You were talking about product management. What do you hope people got from your talk?
Gosh, I hope they got more than just, scheduling, making it a little bit more fun, making games. I just wanted to, give some more inspiration and details about, how to do, the foundations, right, for making a game so that you can have more time to be creative. That's really what I wanted.
How did you even connect with them? Who reached out to you?
Oh, funny, weird story. I know Daniel, but only through, I had messaged randomly on the IGDA, whatever the acronym is, because I was moving to Winnipeg, and he apparently never really checks it until that one time when he did, and he saw my message, and he saw it was coming over, and then we've been in contact since. That's the only reason why, and really I come out to support the community here.
So since you brought it up, you're from Toronto, then you went to Vancouver, then you came to Winnipeg. I always say, it's a Simpsons line, but I always say to people who move to Winnipeg, we're from here. What's your excuse? What brought you here?
What, you don't like the weather? No, so I moved to Vancouver for games, and then having some experience there, I met my fiance. He's from Winnipeg, and so we decided the age-old story of you want to settle down, you want to actually buy something. This is probably one of the few cities in Canada where you can buy something, and so that's what we did. And I'm here since July. Yeah.
That's funny. I was literally just yesterday, I think, talking to friends about how, like, yeah, Winnipeg's terrible, but you can afford to live here.
Absolutely.
So, I know you mentioned it in the talk, but, like, you weren't originally... You were a gamer. I know that when you were younger, you were into lots of games, but you weren't originally working in games. You were doing marketing for, like, Walmart and stuff like that. So what brought you over to the gaming world?
Yeah, so I mean, I never really knew how to get into games. All I knew was that at some point I wanted to be part of it. And so just being like, I don't know, a pest and trying to figure out how to get in there, what was the best way, what can you even do? I mean, with a marketing degree, like I don't paint, I don't draw, I don't know how to code. And so it was just really figuring out how I fit. And the fun thing about games is that you can fit anywhere. I kind of really like that mentality where it's so inclusive that they are like, yeah, you have this kind of skill set, we can find something for you to do. And I've met people, fell in love with the people, fell in love with the industry, and of course being a gamer at heart and always having video games as a passion, it just naturally, fell into place.
When you were in high school, what games were you playing when you skipped school to go play at an internet cafe?
How did you know I skipped school and went to an internet cafe? That's really creepy. You're good at your job. No, first game I ever skipped school was Counter-Strike. I started playing that in a LAN cafe, and then I really started skipping school for Diablo 2. And then arcades, I skipped school a lot. And then in the arcades, Street Fighter. Super huge fan of Street Fighter and fighting games. I ended up actually challenging one of the workers there who would get so frustrated because he could not beat me, and I would come back like 2 or 3 times a week, and so he'd like learn something because he worked there. He would learn something with one character and then beat me one round, and then when I figured out how he was doing it, then I'd beat him the next round. He'd get so frustrated, and then he'd be like, challenge again and again. So yeah, those are the games I skip school. Yeah.
Diablo 2, one of my all-time favorites. Do you still, obviously there's like the new Street Fighter, there's Diablo 4. Are you playing any of those?
They're all on my wish list. Unfortunately, when you do grow up and get older and get a job and have a life, sometimes games doesn't always fit in. So I played lots of other games. I haven't gone back to those, but those have been on the top of my list forever.
Well, I guess you may have just answered this, but are you still addicted to Just Dance?
Again, how are you so good at this? I am addicted to the point where I will watch people play. Unfortunately, I'm a little out of shape to keep up with even like one song. But yes, absolutely. I would play it again in a heartbeat.
Going back to what you do for a living, you worked for indie and mobile, you went to EA, you're now at Relic. How does your role change? Like, how is it different from an indie studio to a AAA studio?
Oh, wow. You learn lots of new skill sets. And I think that's the reason why I love even just going from like an indie to AAA. I would even go, do AA. I would go back to indie. I would go mobile. I would go console. Like, it's different. It's a different challenge. It's a different stress, but it's a good stress. You meet a lot of new people. You get a lot of new understanding and appreciation for how to make, really polished games. Not to say that indies aren't polished. I've played so many polished indie games, absolutely. But their workflows are probably way different than how, a lot of AAA would set up their pipelines. And so, you just get a new appreciation for all the good parts of games and game development.
Oh, we're getting the call. We got to go, but I need to ask the obligatory. You did work on a game called Pot Farm. You must have smoked so much weed while you were in the office.
Absolutely not. With a smile on her face. Sticking to that answer.
Sarah Tam, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
My name is Zhaoliang's son, but I usually go by Liang, just because of simplicity reasons.
All right, so we're at Winnipeg Game Jam. You are the teacher chaperone for several students here from Kildonan East who are participating in the Game Jam. You kind of told me before we started here about how you got into this game dev teaching role, but I'll start actually, like, how did the students get here? Did the Game Jam reach out to you, or what?
So initially, we try to go to the Game Jam every year. So in the past years, when I kind of started off, was when COVID was happening, so there was no Game Jam, but I didn't know about it. And the year, I think it must have been 2022, when the Game Jam was starting back up, I heard about it, and I thought it would be a good idea to take as many students as I can to find out, what it's really like to just, hunker down and make a video game. So it was really just me hearing about it from, I don't know, lots of people talked to me about it, and then me wanting to go on it and bring students along. It just kind of became a tradition for the digital media class that I have. But I typically only bring the grade 12 and grade 11s only because they have the skill set and the agency to make projects like this in a short time. Yeah.
Okay, so digital media, like, is the class specifically about game dev, or?
It's extremely broad. So it's called interactive digital media, which the term itself is super vague. It's like anything that a user can interact with. So that could be like, playing an animation or a website or an app or a game. So the course involves making all of those, but we want to focus on what the students want. It's a very student-oriented class. So the student comes in, and if they're not too strong with coding, but they're very good with like 3D modeling and animation, then the course is also for them. But if a student comes in with like no artistic background and doesn't want to do any of like the design or artwork, but they're very good with coding logic and they want to make games and interactive apps for like clients, like the course is also for them, right? So what ends up happening is that initially it's a generalist course where I teach them about like computing fundamentals and like art fundamentals, and then it evolves into like you're going to be your own professional. You're going to be more of an expert in your field than I am, and I do my best to like give you the resources and the coaching and the learning experience in the classroom, so it becomes like a vocation in the later years, like grade 11 and 12.
You had told me before we started here you were a chemistry teacher and then kind of got roped into this, and it was more of a hobby that you were doing, like game dev stuff. Pardon me. I mean, do you enjoy this position? How much research did you have to do to become better at this?
Yeah, definitely more research than, well, I expected a lot, but I had to spend a lot of time just going over all the things that I wanted to break down into chunks. So off the bat, I wanted to really learn Unity, and I feel like I'm pretty comfortable with that now. But now I'm like learning Blender, and it's just years of processes of like getting myself to a level where I'm knowledgeable enough for it to be teachable. So yes, initially I was trained to be a chemistry teacher. I went to school at the University of Manitoba for like senior stream chemistry and general science, kind of like teaching degree. And then I heard about a position open at Kildonan East Collegiate where Jim Thompson, he wanted to have somebody go under his wing and learn about the whole world of IDM, and I took to it. And honestly, I don't even want to look back, because this is the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like teaching this thing to passionate students and just being involved in this whole industry has been so much fun. It's really like reignited my passion every single year. I'm taking on so many things, but I've not felt the burnout yet, because everything is just so fun. And I'm like here at the Game Jam, of my own volition. I'm not, I'm not getting paid for this. The school's not telling me to do this. I'm just doing this because, the students have fun. I have fun. But yeah, there's a lot of learning involved. I'm still learning. I'm still very much a student of the craft. But the students that I have also teach me quite a bit as well. They go and do their own research, and they're always like so proud to show me and teach me what new things they learn. And then I'm like recording. It's like, I'm writing it down. It's like, I could teach this to future students, kind of stuff. So yeah, it's just awesome, and the journey has just been excellent.
As far as the passion, we're here on a Saturday. Was it tough to sell to the students, like, hey, you want to do some work on a Saturday?
Honestly, it was a decently tough sell, because mostly not because of interest. It was because a lot of my students work. Because we're in a vocational kind of like middle-class blue-collar area. A lot of them take jobs while they're in high school to support their families and themselves. So a lot of them cannot The only times they could work is usually, like major hours is during the weekend. So a lot of my students could not unfortunately make it due to just, work scheduling issues. But a lot of them did want to come because it's in their blood, the want to create and design and make this game. I don't think I had any issues convincing any of the people that came. Like, I have like I think 14 students actively participating here, so they didn't need much convincing. I mentioned Game Jam, and they're like, sign me up.
You mentioned burnout there, and I did actually overhear one of your students saying, like, I'm feeling kind of burnt out. Is that something because that's such a big deal in the gaming industry, is that something that you go over in class? And I did hear your advice, but what advice do you give as far as that?
I force them to take breaks, I guess. Like, they're only burning out because they're dedicating themselves so much to their work. And it shows that they have enough passion to like drive themselves to that point of like exhaustion. So I'm telling them is you need to understand, and it's good that you know that you're burning out. That's when you need to take your breaks and relax. And that's also the best way to work efficiently. Is if you're working while you're burning out, it's only going to get worse. You will be less creative. You're gonna come to a halt. But if you take a break, you'll be motivated again. You'll be refreshed, and it really just is a common problem in this industry, and if I had a solution for it, everybody else would have a solution. But right now it's just the way things are, and I just told them to be careful with their health, and both physical and mental.
Cool. The theme is the bees. I take it they're going along with it.
Uh-huh.
Are we going to see tomorrow at the presentation? Are we going to see their games?
Yeah, all of the groups are making very good progress. There's one that's a little bit complex that I have some concerns with deadlines, but I feel like I'm confident they'll figure it out. Some groups are a little bit ahead of schedule as well, because they are using the stuff they had in class already or learned already to like just implement, so there's no learning involved for them. But there's some of them reaching out to the experimental areas that I think that they need to like kind of cut down on the scope. But yes, I think you will see some sort of product, at least, from each group that I have here on Sunday.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much as well.